There's a moment every survivor of narcissistic abuse remembers. The moment you knew the truth. Not a suspicion, not a vague feeling, but a crystal clear realization that the person you trusted was never who they claimed to be. And in that moment, everything shifts. You stop reacting. You stop justifying. You stop being the version of yourself they could manipulate. And to a narcissist, that's not just a loss. It's the ultimate betrayal, because the one thing they fear more than abandonment is being exposed. In this video, we'll dive deep into how the narcissist really reacts when you figure them out. Not just what they say, but what they feel, what they hide, and the manipulative tactics they unleash when they know their mask has cracked. From smear campaigns to false tears, from silent rage to weaponized guilt, this is not about love. This is about power. And losing power over you is something they never planned for. If you've ever been met with fury instead of apology, if your silence made them scream, if your truth became their nightmare, this video will speak to the part of you that has been doubting your own clarity. Comment below if this resonates. Share your story, or simply type, "I've seen the truth." Together, let's build a space where awareness becomes the foundation of healing and where no one has to walk out of the darkness alone. The moment you see through the narcissist, the exact instant their mask shatters, is when you become their greatest threat. Not because you screamed, not because you exposed them to others, but because you stopped believing. And for a narcissist, your belief was the leash they held, the tool of control, the mirror that reflected back the false self they worked so hard to construct. When that belief disappears, the entire world they built on lies starts to crumble. But don't expect an apology. Don't expect remorse. What you'll face instead is war. Not a war of fists, but a war of emotional sabotage, psychological ambushes and manipulation designed to pull you back into their twisted reality. They'll act fast, twisting the story before you even speak. Suddenly, you're the villain. You're ungrateful, toxic, changed. You, the one who woke up, are now portrayed as the one who caused all the pain. To them, you're not a human being with emotions, limits, and a voice. You're a broken possession, a puppet that stopped performing, a disloyal traitor who dares to walk away even after everything they dare. And when you dare to step out of that role, they don't see their fault. They see betrayal. And from that moment, they'll unleash every tactic, from crocodile tears to character assassination, to reclaim the control they believe they're entitled to. When they can no longer control you, they'll shift tactics and try to control how others see you. And the first weapon they reach for is the smear campaign. While you're still sitting there trying to make sense of everything that just unraveled, they're already moving. Quietly, systematically. One whispered rumor here, a concerned look there. They don't need to scream, they don't need to accuse. They just need to plant doubt and let it grow on its own. They'll tell others that you're unstable, overly emotional, obsessed. They'll play the perfect victim, the one who tried their best, who endured so much, and who had no choice but to walk away from your toxicity. Every word is calculated, just vague enough to avoid accountability, but precise enough to sway perception. And heartbreakingly, many will believe them, because the truth you hold, that they manipulated you, gaslit you, emotionally shattered you, sounds too outrageous to accept. Meanwhile, their lies are wrapped in charm, tears, and just enough plausibility to feel convincing. They speak first, they frame the story, and now, if you try to speak up, you're just the bitter ex, the crazy one, or the unstable person making stuff up. That's the entire point. To discredit you before you even open your mouth. Not to resolve conflict, not to find closure, but to protect their image. To ensure that when, not if, you speak your truth, no one listens. They do this because they understand human psychology. People often believe the first version they hear, especially when it's delivered with emotion. The smear campaign is just another extension of manipulation, but this time it targets not only you but everyone around you. They can't silence you directly, then they'll make sure no one else hears you. They'll say you're losing it, overreacting, twisting the facts. They'll isolate you. And when you need support the most, you'll find people pulling away, not because they know the truth, but because they bought into the narcissist's carefully crafted lies. You'll feel alone, you'll feel angry, you'll want to scream. But if you react emotionally, they'll say, "See, I told you she's unstable." And that's the trap. You must not fall into it. You don't need to chase people down with explanations. You don't need to reclaim your reputation in panic. You just need to stand firm in your truth, live with integrity, and allow time to reveal the rest. Because narcissists may be skilled liars, but no one can stay consistent forever. Eventually the cracks in their stories will show, and those who once doubted you will start to ask, "Why didn't you say anything?" And you won't need to say much, because at that point, your silence will have said enough. After trying to destroy your reputation with a smear campaign, and seeing that you're still standing, the narcissist shifts to a more insidious weapon, gaslighting. This isn't just about lying. Gaslighting is the art of bending reality, of making you question your own memory, perception, and emotions. They don't need to yell, they just need to repeat the lie often enough until you start to believe that maybe you're the problem. You say they hurt you. They smile and say, "You're being too sensitive." You confront them with the truth. They shake their head. "I don't remember ever saying that." You cry. They sigh and say, "You always overreact." Each small dismissal, each twisted retelling, it's not just denial, it's a deliberate attempt to dismantle your trust in yourself. When you start asking yourself, "Am I overreacting?" When you feel guilty for questioning, for being hurt, for daring to doubt, that's when they've regained control. By turning your own mind against you. And here's the most dangerous part. They don't need you to believe them. They just need you to stop believing yourself. Gaslighting is especially destructive for those with deep empathy, self-awareness, and a strong desire to do what's right. Because you question yourself, reflect, and want to grow, they use that very strength to weaken you. They turn your pain into proof that you're the problem. They make you feel guilty for speaking up. They convince you that if this relationship fails, it's because you were too critical, too ungrateful, too unwilling to compromise. Sometimes they'll dig into the past to redirect blame. "Oh, I messed up? What about that little lie you told last year? You feel manipulated? Didn't you go through my phone once?" They don't want to own their mistakes. They want to flip the script and cast you as the aggressor. Gaslighting isn't just manipulation, it's psychological warfare, and if you don't recognize it in time, you'll slowly lose your ability to trust your instincts, to tell right from wrong, and worst of all, you'll lose yourself. You'll apologize for emotions that were completely valid. You'll stay silent to keep the peace. You'll live in constant self-doubt, second-guessing every word, every thought, every reaction. So how do you break free from gaslighting? Remember this, your emotions are real. If you feel hurt, that's not your imagination. If something feels wrong, there's a reason. Journal, write things down, track conversations, seek validation from people you trust, and above all, remind yourself, you don't need undeniable proof to leave someone who's breaking you. You don't need their confession to know you've been manipulated. You don't need everyone else to agree to start protecting yourself, because the moment you start questioning not just them, but yourself, gaslighting is working, and becoming aware of it is the very first step out of the maze they've built inside your mind. When you don't crumble under the smear campaign, and you don't fall for the gaslighting, the narcissist pulls their next card, one that often feels like the final act. Fake remorse. This is when they cry, they beg, They say all the words you've been aching to hear during the darkest moments of pain. I'm sorry. I can't live without you. I see what I did wrong. Please, don't leave me. But here's what you need to know. They're not sorry for hurting you. They're upset because they lost control. They're not heartbroken, they're ego broken. To a narcissist, you're not someone they love. You're someone they own. And when that ownership is threatened, they'll do anything to reclaim it. If manipulation didn't work, if smearing your name didn't shake you, they'll change the script, and this time they'll play the victim. You'll see them collapse, crying like a child. You'll hear sweeping apologies for everything, but if you ask for specifics, they can't give them. Because they don't truly understand your pain, they're simply mimicking emotion to regain control. They'll flip your pain into their narrative. When you remember nights you cried because they went silent, now they cry and say you abandoned them. When you felt invisible, now they claim you made them feel unworthy. And the heartbreaking part? You want to believe them. You want to believe they finally get it. You want to believe love can heal it all. You want to believe those tears are real. But be careful, this isn't love, this is strategy. So what happens if you go back? At first, they'll appear changed. They'll try, they'll soften. But once they regain their position of control, everything returns to how it was, or worse. And the harshest truth? You'll be punished for daring to leave them. You'll be dealt with for making them cry, for making them beg, for making them grovel. They'll hurt you, not because they're angry, but because their ego needs to be restored. They might grow colder, more distant, or they might discard you entirely just to flip the power dynamic and make you feel abandoned this time. That's why you must look beyond the tears and examine the behavior. Someone who is truly sorry doesn't just say sorry, they change. Someone who truly loves you doesn't need to break you to realize your worth. And someone who hurt you cannot use that very pain to reel you back in. If they truly wanted to make things right, they would respect your boundaries, they'd give you space, they wouldn't guilt-trip you for leaving, they wouldn't weaponize their emotions to manipulate you. But a narcissist? They're not apologizing for you. They're apologizing to regain what they're about to lose. And the only thing you owe them now is silence. When fake apologies fail to soften you, when crocodile tears no longer pull you back, the narcissist flips the script. Fast. I can't live without you turns into, you'll regret ever leaving me. Please don't walk away, I need you becomes, if you go, I'll make your life a living hell. This is when their darkest side comes to light. They begin to threaten, to control, to strike using fear. Because they know that if they can't control your sense of safety, they might threaten that you'll never see your children again. They might vow to ruin your career, spread lies to your boss, make up stories that never happened. They might text you non-stop, call in the middle of the night, or show up unannounced. Not because they care, but because they're panicking over losing control. To them, you're no longer a lover, a partner, or an ally. You're now a traitor, someone dangerous simply for walking away. And narcissists never forgive the ones who dare to break free. But here's what you need to remember. Many threats are psychological warfare. They know you're thoughtful. They know you're someone who worries, who weighs consequences, who used to care more for others than yourself. And they exploit that, using fear not to win you back with love, but to scare you into submission. So what do? Don't react impulsively. Don't panic. If kids are involved, speak to a lawyer. If they threaten your job, save the evidence. If they harass you, go no contact and involve authorities if necessary. Understand this. When they threaten you, it's proof that you've reclaimed your power. You are not weak. You are not wrong. You're just no longer under their control. And that terrifies them more than anything. After smearing your name, twisting your reality and trying to intimidate you, and still failing to regain control, the narcissist suddenly goes silent. No texts, no calls, no closure. just a cold, calculated disappearance, as if you never existed. To a normal person, this might look like the end, but with a narcissist, disappearing isn't closure, it's punishment. They're not walking away to give you peace, they vanish to leave you confused, anxious, and emotionally destabilized. They want you to spiral. Questioning, doubting, what did I do wrong? Why did they leave like that? Was it me? And while you're stuck in those painful loops of unanswered questions, they're watching you, calculating your response. Their silence isn't passive. It's a weapon. A psychological tactic designed to make you feel guilty, desperate, and eventually submissive. They don't want resolution. They want to see you crawl back, not with dignity but with shame and self-blame. At the same time, their disappearance gives them the upper hand in rewriting the story. While you remain silent, they become the sole narrator. They can tell anyone anything. I had to walk away. She was unstable. I did everything I could, but he became too toxic. And with no competing narrative, their version becomes the only version people hear. To you, their vanishing act leaves a massive emotional void. On the surface, it may feel like space to breathe, but that silence also becomes fertile ground for self-doubt. You begin to miss the good moments, to forget the cruelty, to downplay the damage. They know distance can distort memory, and they weaponize that fact ruthlessly. Disappearing also allows them to reinvent themselves elsewhere. They may be grooming a new supply, charming someone else, while keeping you suspended in a state of emotional limbo, hoping for a message, a conversation, an ending that brings clarity. But with narcissists, that moment rarely comes. Then, just when you're starting to find peace, just when you begin to accept the truth and move forward, they may suddenly reappear, as if nothing ever happened. I miss you. I've been thinking a lot. I want to try again. Familiar words, gentle voice, seemingly heartfelt, but in reality it's a fresh cycle of manipulation. They don't return because they love you. They come back to see if they can still break you. They want to test the waters. Are you still vulnerable? Will you still fall for the script? And if you let them in again, the game starts over. Only this time, it cuts deeper, hurts longer, and leaves bigger scars. So when a narcissist disappears, don't mistake it for peace. See it for what it is, an opportunity to finally break free. If you're wise enough not to chase them, not to wait for closure, and not to let the silence become a trap you willingly fall into, after their sudden disappearance fails or their return doesn't go as planned, the narcissist pulls out a subtler, more manipulative tactic. They play the martyr. They begin to rewrite the story of your relationship as a tragic tale of heartbreak, where they were the one who loved deeply, tried endlessly, and were cruelly betrayed. No more threats, no more begging. This time, they use pity as a weapon. You'll hear them say they sacrificed everything, that they gave their all, that they just wanted to love and be loved. And by framing the story through a lens of heartbreak and victimhood, they lead others to believe that you were the cold, uncaring one, and they were simply too kind. They don't have to say you were cruel, they just need to act like they were too good. They soften their tone, widen their eyes, drop their voice to a whisper, and recount their wounds with surgical precision, carefully omitting the lies, manipulation, and emotional harm they caused you. And soon they have sympathy. They become the one left behind, betrayed, never truly loved. Strangers will message them with comfort. Friends will rally around them. People will start looking at you with suspicion or distance. This tactic is especially effective because it's indirect. They don't attack you head-on. They just act so heartbreakingly innocent, and while you remain silent, trying to protect your dignity, they're carefully curating the perfect victim persona for public consumption. In society, the martyr is seen as someone who deserves protection, and for the narcissist, pity becomes power. Because when others take their side, they can use that loyalty to isolate you without ever lifting a finger. Remember this. Not everyone who claims to be a victim truly is. Someone who constantly says, "I did everything for them," but never acknowledges their own behavior, is likely rewriting the narrative to control perception. Narcissists don't feel guilt for hurting you. They feel injured because they no longer get to control you. And when they can't pull you back, they try to turn others against you. So when someone suddenly becomes the good person who was hurt, ask yourself, are they taking responsibility for what they did? Are they acknowledging their darker traits? Or are they just telling the story in a way that ensures they get the most sympathy? You don't have to play their image game. You don't have to compete for validation. Just live in your truth, quietly, consistently. Because over time, people learn to tell the difference between a victim and a performer. After all their tactics fail, the smearing, the gaslighting, the threats, the martyr act, and you still refuse to return, the narcissist pulls out one final card. They fall in love with someone else. Instantly, strangely, just days or weeks after your departure, they're posting photos with someone new, smiling, glowing, writing captions full of love, calling this person their soulmate, the one, everything they've been searching for. And there you are, quiet and confused. What just happened? Did they really fall in love that quickly? Have they truly forgotten about you? Did you ever mean anything to them? The truth is this: love bombing the new person is not love, it's strategy. They don't move on quickly because they've healed. They replace you rapidly because they can't stand the emptiness of having no one to control, no one to reflect their distorted ego back at them. The new person isn't special. This supplies someone to show off, to idealize, to worship for a moment, and to use as a weapon against you. They know you're watching. They know you still have feelings, and they want you to see it. They want you to hurt. They want you to question your worth. They want you to ask yourself, was it my fault? Was I never enough? Love bombing the new person is their way of attacking your self-esteem, hitting the very place you've been trying to heal. They want you to feel like you were never loved for real. They create this perfect love story on social media, not to share joy, but to stab at the wounds you're still recovering from. And if you react as if you show anger, jealousy, or heartbreak, they'll say, "See, she's still obsessed with me." Once again, they paint you as the crazy ex, while they're the one orchestrating the whole toxic charade. But here's the truth. This isn't love. It's the same script with a different actor. And you were once in that role. You were once the special one. You were once idolized. And then you were discarded, devalued, or manipulated. Don't envy the new person. They're not as happy as you think. They're at the beginning of the very same cycle you barely survived. They don't know what's coming, but you do. And that's exactly why you must not go back. Don't react. Don't engage. Because your silence, your indifference, is the loudest statement you can make. I'm not playing your game anymore. After the public love bombing of someone new, after showing off their fresh happiness to provoke you, the narcissist moves into a colder, more calculated phase. They begin to act as if you never existed. No more angry posts, no more manipulative texts, just silence. But this time, it's not to bait you into reacting, it's to erase you completely from their narrative. They delete photos, untag you, stop mentioning you to mutual friends. When someone asks, they shrug it off, that's old news. To the people they meet now, you're no longer a chapter in their life. They rewrite themselves as if you were never part of their story. And for those who love deeply, this can be one of the most painful blows. You were once the love of their life, the one they made promises to, the one they confided in, and now you're a deleted presence, no goodbye, no closure, nothing. But here's what you need to understand. They're not erasing you because you didn't matter. They're erasing you because your existence threatens the false image they're trying to maintain. You know the truth. You saw their darker side, the one they don't want anyone else to see. Acknowledging your existence would mean confronting the version of themselves they're desperately trying to forget, so they choose the easiest route, wipe you out, to protect the story they want others to believe, a story where they're always the misunderstood one, the one who just wanted to love and be loved but was never appreciated. They don't want any trace of you left behind. Not because you were a mistake, but because you're a mirror they can't stand to look into. And when you feel discarded, erased, forgotten, stop and remember this. No one who ever loved you genuinely erases your existence to preserve their own image. A healthy, emotionally mature person doesn't need to erase the past, but a narcissist cannot handle the past, especially when it exposes the cracks in their carefully crafted facade. So if they delete you after the breakup, don't see it as rejection, see it as confirmation that you saw too much, knew too much, and broke out of their control. You're not invisible, you're not forgettable, you're simply a truth they don't have the courage to face.